Bearcat Bounce Podcast. Back at it again. Monday. What a beautiful Monday. Birds chirping, sun's out. Wins. Winning Monday following 2-0 week. I'm going to call it a 2-0 week. One is not an official win, but I'm going to still count it as a win. 2-0 week. Football is back. Basketball is back. Coach Scott Satterfield and the Bearcats are 3-1 in the Big 12. Back. Big win over a 5-1 opponent in Arizona State over the weekend. We're going to hash that out. Completely homecoming weekend. Bearcats back in red. And, of course, a win against Ohio State in the charity exhibition game on Friday. We're going to break that down as well. But it's also Monday. I always win every Monday because I get to talk to these guys, the pals, the crew, the squad. Two of them so far are with me, I believe. And without further ado, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel. Gentlemen, how are we?
Doing good. Just finishing getting the tweet out.
Hell yeah.
Getting ready to go for a winning Monday. Victory Monday.
Let's go, baby.
We got a lot to talk about, a lot of fun things to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much just did sports this weekend. Like that was the weekend. Sports. I squeezed in a fire Friday night after we got done with the aftermath. Hung out with my neighbor. Enjoyed the evening a little bit, but other than that, sports.
Sports, baby. Sports of all sorts.
Bearcats win Friday. Bearcats win Saturday. Bengals get a win yesterday. I've got some radio this week, so I had to consume the Bengals game and ready to go.
Boom, baby. Boom, baby. That's a full fun weekend. I tell you what. And I got to see Chad not only one night, but I got to see Chad 2 times over the weekend. That's a win inside of a win for me. So, Aaron, how are we, sir?
I'm fine. Made it through another day with kids, so that's a win. That's the victory Monday that Chad's talking about.
Okay, your form of the victory Monday, baby.
Yep.
And now you got the BVP, and you got a doubleheader of Monday Night Football that you can watch as we finish up here. So it's winning, baby. That's all wins. All wins around the corner. Desmond Ritter's a Raider, another win. Ivan Pace scored a touchdown, another win. I mean, the list goes on and on. We're out here constantly winning. One thing that I think is also winning, and when Royer joins us, he's going to talk about how winning his weekend was. But one thing that I did, I started out winning on Friday midday. I believe okay, there we go. I text message made me laugh. I started out the Friday with a win by heading to my good friends over at Danco Transmission and Auto Care. No better way to start out a weekend than heading over to see Danco Joe and getting the utmost perfect customer experience. They treated me like a king, I tell you. And of course, it's always fun to just talk Bearcats with everyone there. So shout to Danco Joe. Head over there if you want to get oil change, car fixing, anything you need. Danco Joe will hook you up. If you're driving to Colorado this weekend, I don't know why. It'd be crazy. But if you're going to do it, you might get there by kickoff time at 10:15. But head over to Danco Joe. Danco Transmission and Auto Care. They'll get you fixed up before you head that way. Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Gotta love you. Thank you so much. So without further ado, we're going to carry on. A win is a win, guys. We're going to say it. This team, it's about time everyone starts rallying around this team, this win, this quarterback, this coaching staff, everything about it. Arizona State, sure. No quarterback, have turnover prone Jeff Sims step in, sure. A win is a win. They pull out a 24-14 victory. They hold Arizona State to their lowest point total of the season. They score 24 points in the first half. And in the end, they win. That's going to move the score of the season up to 5-2. They are 3-1 in the Big 12. That is good for a technically tie for second. I don't know how things shake out as Dave and Jeff were mentioning on the brunch. It's just all these different end of the season tiebreakers, this, that, and the other. It's hard to really decipher who is where and what pecking order of the standings in any conference, if you will. But Bearcats are right there. Now, a big test this weekend, but of course they pulled out the victory on Saturday, homecoming, 24-14. Some kicking woes for the Sun Devils, and I know Dillingham was quick to fix that after he had quite the roar in his post-game presser. But guys, you had your post-game discussion already underway, aftermath, open and shut. As Ryan comes in, we're going to get a little bit more perspective on that. But to rehash what you guys were thinking heading into the Saturday night clip, a win's a win. Second half, offensively, not super aesthetically pleasing. Obviously, held scoreless in the second half. But, as Coach Scott Satterfield said in the postgame presser, if you win, I'll take that any way that you can get it. So a couple days removed. And Aaron, Chad, what are some glaring things that still stick in your head coming out of what happened, another win in the Big 12?
You're muted, Chad.
I said, Aaron, go ahead.
Well, if third down and you're at the 3-yard line, you should probably run the ball with Corey Kiner.
Okay.
This is where
Still in my head. Still in my head.
Okay.
I don't know. I know Chad's defense.
Or you run a pass play to Joe Royer that is complete and he drops.
Well, if he drops it, it's not
There's
complete.
no guarantee Corey Kiner gets in the end zone.
Oh, and the Joe Royer pass play didn't work either. So
all right, but you're arguing the same thing. There's no guarantee that Corey Kiner makes it in the end zone. Like,
I think
we talk about that like it's just a foregone conclusion that a defense with a loaded box stops a running back 3 yards short of the end zone.
I think it's a more high percentage play to run with Corey Kiner than to run the play that he ran. Okay. I think that there's been situations all season long, though, where Corey Kiner has been misused or not used is maybe the right way to phrase it. So I don't know. I guess that would be a gripe that I have. I know you win, but you asked what was the question was, as stated, was what's still sticking in your mind. That's something that's still sticking in my mind. Outside of that, I still think that this defense, the bye week, has been monumental in the upward trend of this defense. It's been against really good offenses. Say what you want about UCF, but they just put up almost 400 yards rushing on Saturday. And the defense has been, again, since the bye week, has been outstanding. I don't think that there's too many knocks that you could put on the defense. There's been some gaff plays here and there, sure. That's any defense. It's how they've responded to the challenge, how they've responded to being scored on. We know this team last season, had they gone 3 and out and then thrown an interception, you're playing way behind the 8 ball last season. Yeah. This season, right, you do those things, and all of a sudden, you're an Antoine Peak punch out from a giant momentum shift. So,
see, that's what stuck in my head the most following the game is the fact that it was a rough start. The 3 and out was not great, and all of a sudden you see Arizona State kind of turn in and churn exactly what they would need to do with their starting quarterback out. With say what you want about Jeff Sims, he is turnover prone, but he's talented. He's a talented quarterback. He's an athlete, if you will. And they flipped the switch and they turned on what they were going to do with getting Scatterboo the ball in different ways, getting them outside on the edges, kind of taking Corleone out of the game early, and then they looked really kind of dominant on that scoring touchdown drive that they had. And then, of course, Cincinnati replies, and they have a bit of a drive of their own, and then the interception thrown by Brendan Sorsby kind of makes you feel, this is scary territory right now. If Arizona State gets another touchdown, they're going to be able to just run the football game the rest of the game, and instead, there it was, Antoine Peak Jr. How about him? A budding star, if you will, comes in and Chad, I think you coined it the peak punch, if you will.
The peak punch. Yeah, I like the peak punch.
The peak punch. His fourth leads the conference, leads the Big 12 with forced fumbles. And in the postgame presser, Chad, I don't know where you heard it, but he did say that he is cognizant of his dad's school record for most forced fumbles in a career. And
I heard it from his dad. His dad told me he's coming for my records. And I said, I think Aaron and I talked about this at one point. I said, like, if records are always going to be broken.
Yeah.
What better way to do it than to have your son do it? And he said, it hasn't been broken in 20 years. But yeah, you're right. It would be nice to have my son do it.
I mean, you can just tell if you watch that replay, he kind of meets Scadaboo, and Scadaboo kind of just gets stood up, and I feel like he was going to probably maybe try and spin out of it or just kind of try and overpower him or lay him off. And Pete does not even try and wrap Scadaboo. It's just a punch right away, and I was like, wow, okay, that's how he's going to get it done.
He did it twice in the UCF game where he comes in and it's part of how I don't know, it's not something you ever really see, but it's part of his tackling technique to get that hand, he gives it like this.
Yeah.
And it works. Like I guys just aren't expecting, they know when it's time to wrap up that guys are trying to punch it out. Pete just surprises them with it upon contact. And I didn't, I watched UC football back then, but I wasn't a diehard, but apparently that was his dad's move.
Yeah.
And he passed it down to the next generation, and he's really damn good at it.
He is. He's really good at it. And the fact of the matter is he's not a bad tackler either. It's not like this is his only trick in the book. He
led the team in tackles.
In tackles, 4 solo as well. So, I mean, he's kind of and I feel like the question was asked right about the star position and whatnot, but Peak kind of I don't know if he didn't really understand the question, but I feel like this position is tailor made for a player like Antoine Peak. That's kind of downhill, can really help in the run game, as you can see the last couple of weeks, and he's kind of just blowing up. And if he can consistently be that rush helper at that, I mean, you consider him the third level. I know he's that star that plays in the safety position, but I feel like he is kind of quasi second level, and because he's always coming up to fill and run support. So, man, that was the play that stuck in my mind, because you want to talk momentum shifting. That is the epitome of a momentum shifting play.
I do want to talk about you know what played a huge factor in not scoring in the second half that people just aren't talking about?
My guess would be just the fact that we already had a cushion. What was it? Oh, throws over the middle.
Third down.
3 possessions in the second half.
Yes. It was kind of also
possessions in the second half. Well, no, there were more possessions in the second half because Pitt kept scoring.
I meant
Cincinnati only touched the ball 3 times in the second half. They they killed the clock throughout the second half and gave Arizona State essentially no chance to come back and win the game. Now, it looks a lot different if Joe Royer holds on to that catch on third down and they score that touchdown, or if they give it to Kiner on fourth down and they score a touchdown. However different way you want to look at it, but they only touched the ball 3 times in the second half.
Yeah.
And that is, why are they slowing down in the second half? Why didn't they score like they did in the first half? You know how many possessions they had in the first half, Brent? Take a stab in the dark.
How many possessions in the first half? Ooh.
Yeah.
I would venture to say maybe 8.
8 is exactly correct.
Yes.
8 possessions, 24 points. 3 possessions, they get down to the 3-yard line and don't punch it in. But, I mean, guess what? You're not going to score a whole lot in the second half when you only have the ball 3 times.
Yep. And the other thing is the 2 drives, too, both got derailed by missed blocks on the edge. That doesn't help.
Yeah.
But also, Arizona State had, like a 9-minute drive in the third quarter, too. So, I mean, I'm all for, leaning on our run game and, in that second half.
Now, Cincinnati had a 9-minute drive in the third
didn't
quarter.
Arizona State?
8 minutes and 13 seconds.
Didn't they have a long
Arizona
drive
State,
too?
no. They had 3:52, 4:23,
Really?
3:12, and 1:23. Yeah.
Maybe I just remembered.
Cincinnati had a 4+ minute drive, an 8+ minute drive, and a 4+ minute drive. Those were their only 3 possessions in the second half. 7 plays, 23 yards, 14 plays, 72 yards, and 8 plays, 28 yards. Those were the only 3 possessions Cincinnati had after halftime.
Yeah.
So they had a punt, a turnover on downs, a punt, and then kneeling out the win.
Yeah. And then you have, if Joe Royer blocks that dude who ends up tackling, I don't remember who it was on that triple option play, but it looks like we just got confused on the edge on who we needed to block. One of those guys had to be blocked, preferably the safety. We can outrun that big D lineman who ended up making the play. But, you can obviously tell, like, once they get up like 3 scores, they're like, all right, let's just get this. Let's snap the ball. 5 to 8 seconds left on the play clock. We're just going to rely on the run game, our O-line. And, it's conservative, but, that kind of bit us in the ass a little bit with the Pitt game. But I think the defense kind of held strong, that bend don't break mentality. Ended up not making any big mistakes like we did in the Pitt game, so we can kind of hold on there and, get the dub. That's all that really matters, is winning. We won.
Right.
We didn't find a way to lose. So, they're getting better as the season goes on, showing a little bit more poise in the second half, making sure they can close out games, not making the big error. So definitely this team's getting better every week. And, I think Sorsby had a good game. I think that interception, you're throwing up a 50-50 ball. It's not, you want to see him kind of throw the ball more out in front of the receiver so that DB can't get his head back and make that interception. I still thought he played solid, but the defense, I think they could have did a little bit better on the run, especially kind of the half lateral run action they were running. I think our linebackers, their times are they're just missing their lanes, kind of getting caught up in the wash or missing tackles. But defense held strong, and especially with the backup quarterback, we knew they were going to want to run the ball a lot with Scadaboo being one of the best running backs right now in college football. So I think they did everything they needed to do to win. I won't say they played like amazing on defense, but in terms of like some run fits and tackling wise, but I thought the secondary looked good, especially with the backup quarterback. So, you can't, I would be interested to see how Arizona State would have looked with their starter, how much that would have changed and how much the pass side of their offense could have got going on us or not. But,
I don't care.
man. 5-2 going into week 8.
Yeah, it's like KJ Jefferson didn't play against Cincinnati in the UCF game. Well, like Aaron mentioned, look at what UCF did this past week. Okay, Sam Levitt's out in this game against Arizona State. Okay, sure. Right? How did the Bearcats adjust to beat Arizona State? I get that it was kind of closer than you wanted towards the end of the game, but like you said, they kind of play that stall ball and they kind of just milk away wins. And at the end, I already mentioned it. Scott Satterfield said, "Hey, I'll take a win any way we can. Stringing together 4 quarters and blowing people out is awesome, But if it results in a win, then I'm going to take that win 10 times out of 10.
And they didn't make, like I said before, they didn't make any crucial mistakes on defense. They didn't make any big mistakes on offense. I mentioned like those 2 missed assignments on the O-line leading to those drive-killing sacks, but they didn't do anything like anything stupid that, you know, would have led Arizona State to have some more points on the board. So, you know, you're winning. They should have won that game the way the game played out, and they won it. They didn't find a way to lose. So, moving on to the next week, man.
It did have the eerily similar feeling to Pitt at one point in the second half, which I immediately pushed to the side, and I said, I'm not going to allow that to even trickle into my mind. But, you know, it's just the nitpick is going to always happen. But I think you kind of understood, like, listen, this Arizona State team, they're kind of one-dimensional right in this game. So let's kind of take control of the game, and then we can win just figuring it out the rest of the way. So and they took control pretty damn quickly. And let's talk about Evan Pryor for a second. I mean, Roy, I want to hear what you saw on that play when he was able to bust one. But quick stats for you guys, because I know you guys are big stat heads over here. You know, this is the 4th rushing touchdown of the season of 40 yards or more. 64-yard rush for Pryor against Towson, 65-yard rush at Miami for Pryor for the touchdown, 44-yard rush by Corey Kiner for a touchdown against Houston, 55-yard rush versus Arizona State for Pryor. Do you guys know how many rushing touchdowns of 40 yards or more there were the entire last season?
2, maybe 1.
I was going to say 1.
I was going to say 1. I don't think there were. Yeah.
There was one by Miles Montgomery at Oklahoma State. If you guys remember when the Bearcats were like kind of bounced out on them early. And then the next closest is a 38-yard run by Miles Montgomery as well. So that was a huge thing. One of the post-game press conferences, or I think it was a Tuesday presser, where he mentioned the lack of a home run hitter, you know, and mentioned that, you know, in this offense, you need someone that can go out there and get it. And I think that was a huge play as well. Royer, did you see anything on that play at all? It kind of just looked like it was kind of blocked up pretty damn well, and everything opened up, and it was just speed after that.
Yeah, just bad fits by Arizona State, bad pursuit at the 2 safeties needing to pinch in on him, and I think his speed, he took advantage of it. I also thought he ran the ball hard, too. He was finishing runs when he was getting after contact. So, I mean, I think he's getting better every week, too. And then we can always rely on Corey. So having that 1-2 punch, you know, you kind of saw how much the offense kind of changes when both of those guys are out when we're at Texas Tech. So having them both in there, man, I think it just keeps the offense humming, and it complements Sorsby really well, the play action, because we all know how good Sorsby is at all levels of throwing the ball, quick, intermediate, and deep ball, even though he had that one not really go his way there, that 50-50. But, yeah, having Pryor kind of step up alongside of Corey, because we all know Corey's kind of the bell cow. So that's just huge for our offense, because I don't think Corey has the same kind of breakaway speed, but he makes up for it in his yak. So it's good, man. I'm really impressed with Evan.
I mean, Corey's kind of a magician on some of those runs, man. It's like on one of them, I didn't even like see him, and then all of a sudden he bursts out for 7 yards. It's like, what? Where on earth is he?
It's kind of the like we had Mike Warren, Jerome Ford, Corey Kiner. They all kind of have like that shorter build. I think Mike was obviously a little bit stockier, but I think Corey's kind of like right in the middle of that, a little bit thinner than Mike, but thicker than Jerome. But they all have that low center of gravity, so it's hard to like really find a weak spot to hit and knock him off balance, be able to wrap up. So it's just he crunches up like this. He's able to kind of absorb. He has great balance. That's kind of stuff you can't really train. You can't really teach. Just kind of like natural strength, natural athleticism. And I think he's one of the best in the country at it. And I hope he keeps taking care of business like this. Maybe we'll be seeing him doing it on Sundays too.
Yeah, I think there's a really strong chance of that.
One of my side of the game.
Let's hear it.
I think this is why they win the game. Starting field position, Arizona State, twice at their own 34 was the best starting field position they got the entire game. One on the punt after the 3-and-out to start the game, and then one to open the second half. They had a nice little return that got them out to the 34-yard line. Every other start was either at the 25 or back.
You should have had one inside the one, too.
Yeah. They
Our
don't have their
Gunners.
starting quarterback.
Come on, Gunner.
Well, that was actually the college rule is different. It's the ball breaks the plane. It's in the end zone. I don't know if he could have got to that ball coming down.
I still think our guys got to do a better job just sprinting to the goal line, get your head around right when you're inside the 5.
And put your feet on the other side of the goal line.
It doesn't matter in college.
Well, no, but the ball didn't cross over until his foot was in. No, it did not. It bounced. And then he was right there and he was standing in the end zone.
Well, it was very close. Either way, whatever. Their starting field position was really difficult. They had to go 75, 80 yards on, they had 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think they had 12 drives.
Mm-hmm.
They had to go 75 plus yards on 10 of those 12 drives without their starting quarterback and without an effective passing game. So, if you're game planning, how do we beat a team that is going to rely heavily on the run? You don't give them short fields. You don't give them a chance, to capitalize. Quick strike, boom, they get one run, and they're in the red zone. And Cincinnati did a great job of making them work the entire length of the field over 60 minutes, and Arizona State just wasn't capable of doing it. Jeff Sims isn't good enough.
Yeah, he's not.
So that's my stat of the day.
Which I think a lot of that also, as you mentioned, is the key of saying, listen, it was probably a focal point as well. It's listen, let's just win this field position battle because they don't have Sam Levitt, because they are one-dimensional.
Yeah,
because if we give them the ball in plus territory, they're 2 or 3. I want to say 2 or 3 first downs away from a field goal, but with their kickers, I think they probably got to get it inside the 10. Which, by the way, can you imagine if your coach goes in on a tirade like that? I mean, I think all those kickers should just quit after that. But he fixed it with a nice tweet, right, Aaron?
Can you imagine their old kicker being on our roster as he's having that rant in his locker room? Just saying.
Yeah. And I mean, kicking is not easy. As we see on College Game Day every week, kicking's not easy.
It's not easy in the NFL. It doesn't matter what level. It's hard.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, Aaron, I think Nathan Hawks is better suited for the NFL because the hash marks are 6 feet apart in the NFL. They don't have the wide hashes. If he can just sit on one of the hashes in the middle of the field, he kicks the ball straight as an arrow every time. To his detriment.
Evan McPherson has gone from Money Mac to Maybe Mac. I mean, we don't even know what's going on with Evan McPherson. So it doesn't matter what level. Kicking is probably as difficult, if not, I put it as difficult as golf. You one bad hit and you're a mess. A mess. So
yeah.
I don't know.
You got to have a good recovery shot. You got to have a good recovery shot. In football, you don't get the recovery shot.
For Dillingham to single out the board kicking kid and offer free tryouts for any student and then walk it back, 3 times, 3 different apologies for doing what he did.
He did it again today in their weekly press conference as well.
I know the guy's young and he's still figuring it out, but he's been at big levels. You don't get to be heralded as the next big thing and then have a giant guffaw like this.
Obviously that's something you handle behind closed doors because no matter what, you're not going to find a kid who's going to show up at practice day one and automatically be better than those guys. So that's something you just got to just let it go, and then take care of it in the off season. Now you've created this freaking nerve-wracking lack of confidence situation in the special teams room for them that's going to carry out throughout the whole year. I don't think they were going to find the next Adam Vinatieri just walking out of the frats at ASU. I think they got a lot more going on over there.
I mean, you never know, man. There's a lot of people outkick their coverage there. It's because the targets are are plenty. Let's just put it that way. So who knows? Maybe you got someone out there with a boot that's just unexpected, and he nails a perfect 10 or like a 8, which would be a perfect 10 under a lot of places. Either way, I did see a handful of people send like recruiting tapes to like at Kenny Dillingham with like their highlights of them kicking. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But it's like officiating. It is a very unforgiving job where you literally have one thing where everyone watches you, and if you don't do it perfectly or close to perfect, you are highly scrutinized. You are kind of just ran over and over again. And I mean, Kenny Dillingham, you saw what he did after the win against Utah. He said, I'm like you guys. I used to be like you guys, and like jumping up and down with the fans. And then all of a sudden, the next week, he's a fan again in the post-game press conference. And like Aaron said, he's got to kind of peel that back a little bit. But kicking's hard, and Hawks nails a deep one, then misses a shorter one. You got to take what you can there. For me, and I'm interested to hear what you guys say about this. In the post-game presser, Sat mentioned how he's like, we got to lead the country, and where at the end of the second quarter, heading into halftime, we've been 0 for 4 on field goal attempts heading into halftime.
3 in a row, 3 weeks in a row.
And he says, maybe the next one will go our way, or it's about time one goes our way.
We're due.
Yeah, we're due. Maybe you just like put all bets forward to score a touchdown and not even like put yourself in that position again. But teach their own. It's just a rough ordeal when it comes to that. But either way, a win's a win. But I do want to talk about one other thing that I like. Fourth down stops that Cincinnati defense had, and kind of your guys' thoughts. It seems as if this is a time where the defense really like flips a switch, and they say, maybe they take it personally, or maybe it's kind of a moment where they lock in a little bit more. But you saw it against UCF where they came up with big stops when they needed to, and then of course you saw it with 2 fourth down attempts that Arizona State went for. First one was a little swing pass out to Scadaboo that Golday absolutely blew up, and then another one was Jared Bartlett coming through and tackling Scadaboo for a loss. Ryan, you've been playing football throughout your entire life. I'm sure you still play it nowadays. Fourth down, the other team says, all right, we're going for it. Is that a put up or shut up time for the defense?
Well, I think they've done a great job of kind of recognizing the situation and putting themselves in, because the offense can be kind of unpredictable on especially like that 4th and 3, 4th and 4, it can go either way, run or pass, if they're going to look to go quick game at the sticks or do some kind of misdirection and try to find a screen or something like that, or just try to run it right up the gut. But I think the defense is they've put themselves in a spot where a lot of the times they're kind of playing that safe zone. And I think they kind of have tricks up their sleeve. And I think it's kind of like bunching everyone in on some of those sets. And I think our linebackers stepped up bigger on those fourth down stops. I think it kind of plays really well to kind of Jake Golday and Bartlett too, kind of their play style where they can kind of just let them go, because it's like, do or die fourth down. Like, let's let these guys just play, maybe send them on a different blitz and kind of keep the offense guessing. I think it's kind of played right into our hand of, we can kind of run different pressure packages, or we can run different stunts and kind of let our athletes be athletes and not play that kind of conservative style that we've had our success with. But I don't know. I think, yeah, exactly. It's kind of it feeds right back into the bend don't break mentality these guys have been playing all year long. And it's, hey, they might get 6 on first down. Let's try to still get them to third down and then see what happens. And I think having our secondary starting to play better and better every week and not letting up the big play and forcing the offense to keep having to snap the ball in front of the sticks. I think our defense is, I don't really know if there's an exact like scheme or formula that I can actually nail down and be like, this is what exactly they're doing. But it just seems like they're just making the play right when they need to play. And I think it kind of has to do with what I was mentioning, the guys that you can kind of just let them go play on those snaps. Cause as long as you keep them out of the end zone, just, all right, they might get the first down, but let's make them run 3 more plays and kind of throw something at them again on 4th down. So
I got something for you, Royer. What I think the difference is now between what it was at the beginning of the season. Leading tacklers for the game. Star position, Antoine Peak, 9 tackles. Linebacker Jonathan Thompson, 8 tackles. Linebacker Jared Bartlett, 7 tackles. Linebacker Jake Golday, 7 tackles. Star position, Jaquan Sanks, 5 tackles. Linebacker Jack Dingle, 5 tackles.
You stole my stat. Well done.
The leading tacklers, 4 linebackers and 2 of that star position, which when you're playing run-heavy teams is the guy that they use to come up and play in run support. Those guys are playing better than they were playing at the beginning of the season. Run fits, actually getting guys to the ground, like whatever variable you want to add to it.
Except for that Scatterboot touchdown. That was
yeah, but I mean that guy breaks more tackles than anybody in the country. Like he's gonna get a cup. Like go look what he did last week. Like he was just a menace playing Utah last week, running over dudes every snap, just trucking people. I think I saw a stat coming into the game. He had more yards after contact than like 7 or 8 entire teams had rushing yards. Like that dude after contact is just a monster, and he did not get to do that. And if you notice, they rallied to the ball incredibly well on Saturday. Like the first guy got there, and quickly there were 2 or 3 other guys there making sure this guy's not going to bust free and find extra yardage. We've talked about it from the start. This defense requires that group to be your best players. The defensive line occupy people, the linebackers and the star position come up and make plays. We did not see that early in the year. We saw it against UCF, and we saw maybe the best example of it against Arizona State. Sorry, I stole your thunder, Aaron.
No. Well, I mean, I brought that stat up on the aftermath.
Yeah,
it's a good one. But well done. I just think going back to Cincinnati kind of stopping Scatterbo and all that, I think that's part of the reason why he lowered the boom the way that he did, and then stood over. Yeah, he got stymied the entire day, and then he stands over Jared Bartlett, who is probably seeing stars at that point in time. He may not have even seen anything more than just the outline of this man looming over him.
He was seeing big AJ and big Justice, you know? Yeah.
But in any case,
stars.
I think that's why that he kind of went in that play the way he did, because I think that was the entire frustration of the day was bottled up into that probably personal foul.
Yeah, and Chad, I think how you're mentioning all those guys, like that linebacker kind of group in this 3-5 defense. I think a lot of it too is comfort with the scheme, because you're a lot like the Star and Golday. Like a lot of times they're playing in space. It's if you're not super comfortable about your fit or being in that space because you're running a new defense, you're running a new scheme, the coaches and players are trying to get comfortable and like how they want you to fit, like how they want you to shade in your block defeat, how aggressive they want you to come up and pursue your fit in that kind of lateral style run. I think each week, guys are getting better because they're more comfortable, and you're seeing less missed tackles because guys know where they're supposed to be. They're getting there quicker, and guys are getting off blocks a little bit better. Even though I still think they can always be better at it every week, but I think, like you're saying, you're seeing less and less mistakes. You're seeing less and less critical errors, and I think it has to do with that comfort, knowing where you have to be. You can play faster, you can play your game, and I think that fits really well with Golday and Bartlett because I think they're like comparatively to like Dingle. I think Dingle's a more downhill thumper type of linebacker, whereas like Golday and Bartlett, they can move laterally really well, and like knowing how to play with each other, play to each other's styles, and then throwing that star into, because a lot of the times on the run fit, those guys they're not meant to get blocked. They're kind of meant to be either read off of by the quarterback in an RPO, or kind of like, all right, we're going to make this guy come down and have to tackle and expect to get 4 to 5. But I think these guys are playing faster now, and they're knowing what they're supposed to be doing. They're playing better as a unit. And, if keeping on this trend, we get better every week, guys get more comfortable. I mean, this defense is just going to keep getting better. And I think that's what they've been doing. And we got a bunch of good teams coming up, man, where they're going to put us in, they're going to be well coached. They're going to put us in those positions where these guys kind of have to make decisions and make them fast. So keep getting better every week, and we'll be in some good spots in these coin toss games coming up.
I just wanted to pull something up for comparison's sake. That's not the right game. Let's try that one. Here we go. Pitt game. Defensive tackle leaders for Cincinnati against Pitt. Derek Canteen and Mekhi Miller were 1 and 2. It's not happening now. The outside safeties are not making tackles 12 yards down the field. Like, that is the biggest difference where they're at now and where they were at. Now, some of that is playing teams that don't have a super adequate pass game to where, they're not making tackles on pass catching 8, 10, 12 yards down the field. Your safeties are going to be more involved in that, obviously. And they were playing teams that are a lot more run heavy, but still, you're not seeing guys running free in the second level over the past couple games. And that's that, like, for me, that's how this defense is designed to be executed. So, that's just one thing that like Aaron brought it up the other night and did a little bit more, like analysis of it, of where they were at to where they are now. That's really the biggest difference, is the guys that are supposed to be making the tackles are making the tackles. If you remember all the way back in the preview episode, like, who's going to be the defensive MVP, and you guys were talking about deep safeties, and I was like, that makes me uncomfortable. Deep safeties leading in tackles makes me uncomfortable. And that's why. And we're not seeing nearly as much of that now. Now, you probably are going to see more of it against Colorado because they're going to put the ball in the air quite a bit more, and those guys are going to be asked to make plays in space. But we'll get to Colorado as the week unfolds here on BCJ.
Yeah, I think, kind of as Ryan was mentioning in chat, it kind of leads into the stat that you just said, is the fact that comfortability in the defense. You know what I mean? It just seems as if Golday's playing looser and free. Bartlett was kind of that only linebacker that kind of has been playing loose and free the entire year. It just seems as if people are starting to just kind of get comfortable in their role and start playing without thinking. I think back to Darian Beavers and how, Marcus Freeman said, hey, we just need to get Beavers out there to play without thinking. Right now he's thinking too much. And then you saw that evolution into the year that he kind of broke out, was he was out there making plays. And so I think you're seeing a lot of that out there. And I think also the fact of the matter is, I think the emergence of Antoine Peak really has a lot to do with it as well, where you kind of know that you not only do you have a thumper and Dingle, but you have a couple of other linebackers that make big plays, but you have Peak, who comes up and just he's a playmaker from like a missile playmaker at times. And I think that kind of revs up the defense as well. Do want to mention, because since we're on the Bartlett conversation as well, Bartlett got another sack in this game. Has 4.5 on the year, and that's third in the Big 12 out of all players. And guess who's fourth in the Big 12? Tied for fourth right now. It's Eric Phillips. So, that was something that we mentioned a lot in the offseason was who's going to be able to get sacks, apply pressure on opposing quarterbacks, this, that, and the other. Right now, Cincinnati's 33rd in the country in sacks. They have proven to be really good at getting after the quarterback. I think the emergence.
And you're seeing Jonathan Thompson start to kind of him and Golday are starting to add up a little bit of numbers in that area as well.
Yeah, it's Cam Scattaboo. Royer, he tried to bring the boom, right? He big AJ, big Justice. I mentioned it earlier, the Costco guys, but the Bearcats brought the doom. They brought the doom, and the Rizzler was happy, and we're rocking, and we're rolling. The Bearcats, they get another win, a chance. This is the chance on Saturday to make a statement, a statement win, and a standalone 10:15 p.m. kickoff time. Well, before we move on to just a quick Colorado briefing, anything more on Arizona State, guys? I think we kind of covered it, soup to nuts, as they say.
There is something from this game that Sorsby said post game that I think definitely needs to be figured out. And if teams are going to play that too high shell and they're going to play aggressively to keep Cincinnati from making plays deep down the field, he's going to have to start hitting some back shoulders where they're still able to push the ball 15, 20 yards down the field. Yeah. Maybe you're not getting the home run, but, right now, part of the reason that I think they're stalling out at times is they're not really in position to make splash plays in the passing game because teams have figured out that's a big part of what they're trying to do. So they're trying to contain that. They're trying to keep everything in front. Well, if they're going to do that, you have got to figure out ways to still, maybe you're not pushing it 40 yards down the field, but it has to be more than 12, 13, 14. Like those can't consistently be your biggest pass plays. And I know Aaron and I talked about it the other night, but, again, longest pass plays against Arizona State, 15, 14, 16, 17. Not a single pass play over 20 yards. Yeah. Like that is why you're stalling out. That is why you're not seeing the number of points on the board is you're just not getting enough splash plays in the passing game because teams are taking that away. You've got to find a way to generate some of that, whether that's down the seam. I know they had the one throw over the seam to Royer that he overthrew. Yeah, just a little bit. But hit those back shoulders. Hit, some skinny posts, those middle post routes where you're finding a guy in the middle of the zone instead of going digging across, like going on an angle where they can catch it and have a little bit more chance to run. They've got to figure out a way to incorporate some of that in there because opponents right now are just saying we're not going to let them get over the top of us.
And I think we have the offensive scheme and personnel to combat that. And the other thing is cover 2 is great against the run because you have your corners on each side that could kind of challenge. You're making your receivers have to block. And, it's rare that you're going to have a really good receiver that can run routes, catch, and be able to go out there and seal off an edge and keep that cornerback out of the fit. But I think having Joe Royer going 3 wide to the field, spreading out that cover 2, there's holes all over that middle seam, whether it's 2 or 3. And I also think Henderson runs a great comeback, a great 15-yard sit, 12, 15-yard sit route. So I think we have the guys and we have the capability, and I think it's just recognizing patterns, and it's good that they're kind of identifying that too. And I also think, speaking of guys needing a block on the perimeter, that triple option look too, if we can keep that corner blocked out on the edge and get Royer or someone up there to block that outside linebacker, having that safety playing that cover 2 look, 2 deep safeties, that's going to open up a lot of space, whether preferably to the field if you want to look to go more lateral option look that we like to go. And I think our offense with the motion action we like to run, I think it could give Sorsby a good ID, good keys on making sure all right, they're in cover 2, they're in some sort of or Tampa too deep with the linebacker having to drop that middle seam. So just being able to recognize that, we have the guys to kind of really put that defensive look in a bind. But, we're recognizing it's the first thing you got to do. So it's good they're kind of identifying that.
Another thing for me that's kind of nitpicky as well is that on that interception throw, and Dave kind of mentioned it on the brunch as well. It for the second week in a row, it feels like it was kind of a predetermined pass that Sorsby was going to throw. I think Arizona State brought a lot of pressure on that play, and he kind of just threw it up instead of kind of trying, overthrow and see, try and see if your receiver can make a play instead of kind of a bit of an underthrow and see if your receiver can come back and make a play. But if you watch the replay, Royer comes wide open in the flats over to the left side. But I think kind of just because of the pressure and probably the play call, I think maybe Sorsby was looking that way a little bit too much. I don't know, just nitpicky, obviously. And in the end, it didn't truly matter because they had the peak punch afterward.
The other problem with that was he took like 14 steps out of bounds.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He was pushed
he would
out of
not
bounds.
have been allowed to come back in and catch that ball. I mean,
yeah,
he ran. I was looking. I was standing right there in that end zone looking at it. He ran 15 yards out of bounds. And then got like 3 steps back in before the ball got there. And the guy made the interception. So that wasn't like Brendan's got to be able to see that. And Satterfield talked about it. That was part of their strategy, was funneling those guys to the sidelines, being physical with them, and then getting them over to the sidelines to where it's a much more difficult play because you don't have any extra room to work with. But hey, that's, we're in week getting ready to go into the 8th game of the season. What you do is on tape. And, you're in a real conference with real coordinators and real high-level Power 5 players every week. They are going to take away some of the stuff that you're good at. You still have to figure out how to continuously, take what they're giving you. They did an okay job with it. They did a pretty good job in the first half. They didn't have a lot of, like we said, they didn't have a lot of opportunity in the second half, and they were running it significantly more in the second half to kind of get in the locker room and get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, which is what they needed to do, and they did it. Also, it was, it's interesting. They go from a pretty chippy game, pre-game. Chad, I don't know if you saw some of it, but Keegan got caught on video. It was kind of like little, chirping going on pregame. Obviously you saw Watley and Shaman come in with the I'm back shirts on, and of course Mason Fletcher and some Eric Phillips as well. A couple people said, Mason Fletcher said safe travels. Eric Phillips tweeted saying we're back. Maybe he's saying we're back, like we're winning, we're back, or maybe he's saying we're back as play on words against the I'm back. But either way you write it up, there was a lot going on pregame.
A punter talking smack is maybe the best thing in the entire world. I'm here for Mason. Mason Fletcher has a green pass to talk smack the rest of the entirety of his life. I'm here for all of it.
He's a high-level smack talker. High-level smack talker.
He's going to kick it over his fucking head.
He's going to stand all the way up there like I can't kick it 40 yards. I'm just going to kick it straight over his fucking head.
Yep. Which he's done numerous times. But yeah, I mean, a win's a win. Yeah, you get out of Dodge here. Maybe kind of ahead of schedule, I would say. Of course, we look back at those 2 very frustrating losses, but 5-2. I mean, I think if you would ask us at this point in the season if you would take 5-2, I think all of us would say yes. So, massive game, 10-15 kick.
I think it's also where we all said they need to be at this point in time, because the back 5, like the last 5 games of the schedule, is considerably tougher than the first 7.
And that's been pretty validated too.
Yeah.
And I think kind of throughout the season a little bit, we all thought, well, maybe the game at Colorado might be a little bit easier than we first thought.
No, they're playing well.
They look pretty doggone good. So that's gonna be tough. I saw some, someone combined all the metrics out there, and it's fourth is Colorado, fifth is Cincinnati. You look at all of them in Colorado and Cincinnati are kind of bunched right next to each other. It's a 10-15 kickoff. You're gonna have whatever celebrity you want on the sideline there. It's prime time on prime time, if you will, and 3.5, 4-point favorite is all the Buffs are. When the line opened, it's gonna be a fun one, guys. What first off, what's your game plan? What is it? Is it bottomless mimosas in the morning, a quick nap, and then you wake up and it's kickoff time? Is it? How are you going to tackle this this Saturday with this 10-15 kick? It's crazy.
I got kids, man. What are you talking about? Bottomless mimosas.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're so ridiculous.
Ryan and I are
Life
doing
it's
that.
just like you're still 21.
Oh, please.
Go for
Why
some
can't I?
bottomless mimosas
Holla
Saturday
at
brunch.
your bottomless.
You and the girls.
You're gonna
Let's
wear that
go,
hat,
baby.
white
I'm
ass
in,
hat
baby.
too.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, baby, I'm in. I'm in.
I think I will. I'm gonna go to the Fan Fest for the women on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
They have a top 20 prospect in town, 5-star Jada Seville. That they are in her top 8 as her last official visit before she makes a decision.
Okay.
So I think I'm gonna stop by there for a little bit. Probably get some dinner at some point. Get a nap in for sure. Get some dinner. Maybe hang out a little bit, and then the hard part is I don't even think drinking isn't really a possibility here. I don't think. Unless you're going to start at 10:30 at night, and I really just have no intention to start drinking at 10:30 at night.
I was half joking.
No, you weren't. You were 0% joking. 0%.
I planned on going, but sadly the day job got in the way of that.
I feel like
so I
there was a 100% chance you were having a mimosa of some sort on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, sure.
Nailed it. See?
Why not? When in Rome.
9:30 Sunday morning, Bearcat brunch. You and Jeff Howell.
Oh wow! Yeah, I'll have to check the calendar. But yeah, thoughts on the Buffs, Colorado, as it's going to be. I expect a high scoring affair. Chad, you kind of alluded to it, and obviously you'll talk about it more with Dave on the BCJ pod. But and then when you and Aaron do your keys to the game, but haven't really faced a pass heavy attack. Sure, Texas Tech had some passing elements to it, but they also have one of the best running backs.
They were
in the
balanced.
country. Yeah, they're
balanced.
I mean, Colorado is literally pass heavy. That's kind of the one thing I'm gonna try and watch the most when it comes to the game on Saturday, because I think that Cincinnati should be able to score on them. I think it's going to be a high scoring affair. I saw the over under is only 57.5, which was kind of a little mind boggling to me. I think that'll probably be bet up, but just initial thoughts when it comes to this Saturday night. It's a massive game. The winner of this game kind of shoes themselves into having a real shot at playing in the Big 12 championship game. Obviously, a lot can happen down the stretch. Ask Iowa State, but thoughts on just initially what this Colorado game brings on Saturday night.
I mean, first and foremost, I'm fascinated to see is this pass defense ready for the challenge? The run defense has answered the bell the last 2 weeks. It is not a matter of run defense this week. You are going to have to stop the pass. You're going to have to contain Shedeur. Matt says rush 3, drop 8. If you look at the teams that have had success against them, one of the main reasons they have is they have sacked Shedeur a lot. So you're going to have to find a way to get him down, get him out of rhythm, and not let him just sit back there and kind of pick you apart. So I don't mind rush 3, drop 8 on some looks, but there are also going to be times you're going to have to bring pressure and get him kind of second guessing. The thing that's interesting for me is Colorado's defense has played really well over the past couple weeks. And that is a big change from last year and the beginning of this year when they were a sieve, and they seem to be getting it together. So that adds another layer of, you can't just look at it like we were pretty safely able to look at Texas Tech and say, these two teams are really good on offense. This thing is going to be like a video game. Cincinnati and Colorado are both starting to play some pretty solid defense. So there is a chance that, it comes down to which team can get 2 or 3 stops, key stops. And whichever team is able to do that is the team that's probably going to have a better chance to win the game.
I think our defensive scheme, and I think it matches up well. I think it's just literally they're going to get their yards. They're going to have a couple explosive plays, but you got to limit it to a couple. You got to keep them in front of you. They're gonna have drives. They're gonna drive down the field, get into our side of the field, and as long as we can keep them out of the end zone and force them to kick field goals, same thing. It's got to be bend, don't break. Don't have the miscommunications. Don't have guys running free for 30, 40-yard plays or touchdowns. Make them come down the field on us, because once that field gets shorter, it's going to be harder and harder for them to kind of combat our drop look in the secondary. So make them have to run the ball with the shorter field. I like our run defense. I think we got to be able to mix up pressures between second and third down to keep Shedeur guessing. I think so. We got to be able to decoy pressure and drop on third down. We got to be able to send pressure on second down and kind of force him to get the ball out of his hand quickly before anything can really develop downfield. And that way he's not really going to know what's coming on second or third, because I like our first down run look against them, trying to keep them between right around that 2nd and 7, 2nd and 6. You got to limit the big plays. That's how got to make sure our DNs keep him within the pocket. Because when he's at his best, when he gets to kind of have his time back there, extend plays, roll around, and let his receivers kind of run free. Because when you're running that drop 8 look, when you're in zone, it's kind of hard to really match up guys, and we call it scramble drill. It's like find your guy and just run with them. But it's one of the hardest things to do in the secondary or as a defense. So linebackers got to make sure that we're getting our drops, not just kind of hanging around, but that one guy that's running the spy, you got to be freaking up there and not letting Shedeur have too much time. Keep your eye on him, get in his face once you start seeing to break out of the pocket. But I think we match up well, because I think we'll be able to stop their run game. I don't think their run game is that good. I think that's been kind of the Achilles heel of their offense, and that's kind of well known throughout the conference in college football. So
they've had some good games on the. They have had some good games on the ground of late. So their run game has shown at least a little bit of life. Yeah,
and I think when I say matches up well too, is I think our run defense has gotten better every week. And having Dante, having Bartlett, Golday playing better, I think it matches up well. So just got to keep the guys in front of you. Can't have any miscommunication. Guys running naked like they were versus Pitt, just giving them free yards and free points.
Who will be bracketed, Hunter or Horn? The interesting thing to me is that I think there's a chance Travis Hunter doesn't play.
Yeah, that was.
Or if he does, he's gonna they've got a bye week coming up. They tried to rush him back last week, and he didn't make it through the first half. I wonder if there's a situation where they say, you know what, we need to get him healthy for the stretch run. Yes, we need him bad this week, but how much better off are we, even if he does play, if he's a little more limited, so you don't see him for
just more
130 snaps? Yeah. But Hunter is the answer. He's legitimately one of the best wide receivers in college football. He's the best player in the sport.
Yeah. Aaron, you got anything to add? You were getting ready to say something.
Yeah, I really wish this game was at home. I'd feel so much better about it if it was in Cincinnati than in Boulder. That said, Shedeur turns the ball over an awful lot. And if you're able to get him to just stay uncomfortable, kind of what Ryan was talking about, but you can't let him get into a groove, get into a rhythm. You have to keep him just uncomfortable. Because truthfully, I think when he's uncomfortable, so is dad, and that's a giant mess. I think that emotions are going to run high in this game, because I think that you have, for the second game in a row, you're playing for what your end game is, and that's a conference championship opportunity. And both teams are certainly in the hunt for that. And a loss will probably mean that game is over for either team. So I don't know. I think that I like Sorsby's chances, but I think it's going to come down to which quarterback is playing more uncomfortably, due to what the defense is able to do. And I think that what Chad was saying with Travis Hunter being limited, especially defensively, that could really play to your hand.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Colorado does get after the quarterback as well. I bet a lot of that probably has to do with the. I mean, they just always are seemingly in shootouts outside of the last couple of weeks when they, well, obviously they were shootout against Kansas State, but they kind of dominated Arizona and then dominated UCF. So, I mean, it's a good looking team, man. It is a good looking team. But you know, it's the line tells you that it's going to be a little closer than what the average fan might think heading into it. So, I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what happens. And I don't know. Did it seem like Jordan Young didn't take as many snaps in this past game as he normally does? So I think, you know, maybe coming back from that injury and whatnot, you get another week of kind of getting ready and prepping for the UCF game. Hopefully he continues inching towards, you know, full health and whatnot. If I don't know if he's not fully healthy or not, but he was wearing a big brace on his shoulder. So I'm excited to see how they defend that offense, and then of course how our offense clicks. I think you just got to consistently stay with them, kind of like the Texas Tech game, and then at the end see what happens. But yeah, either way, Chad's gonna have a bunch more about Colorado throughout the week. Aaron and Chad will be talking about it, and Royer and I will be calling each other every night and discussing it amongst ourselves. So after that, I think we're ready for a quick timestamp, and then hope maybe a little basketball-centric riff with Royer. Chad, go ahead, timestamp it.
Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They service over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next-day deliveries. They provide a wide range of food service products. Tiger, I'm trying to do an ad read. Thank you. To-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases. We're relegating basketball to riffing with Royer. We're not going to just talk a little bit about the game.
Well, this is normally where we have the bridge ripping with Royer and then leading to the basketball talk. But I mean, we're hour 8 in, so just, you know, it'll be a good segue, Chad. I'm just trying to segue. You know how it works.
Well, I'm just telling you, people are listening to this podcast to hear some basketball talk.
Oh, we're gonna talk basketball. I'm too excited to not talk basketball. So don't you worry.
I just, you know, I'm here for the people, Brent, and I know the people want to hear us talk about basketball. But we'll do Riffing with Royer first, brought to you by New Riff Distillery. Fiercely independent and unabashedly innovative, New Riff produces award-winning bourbon, rye whiskey, and gin at their distillery in Newport, Kentucky. The Aquafire Tasting Room, located on the 3rd floor of the distillery, features cocktails, flights, and pours of New Riff's entire line of spirits, including rare, limited edition, and distillery exclusive releases. Bearcat Journal listeners can save 50% on distillery tours when you use the code Bearcats24. For more information or to book a tour, visit newriffdistilling.com. I've had an idea for New Riff. I need to talk to our New Riff people. I want to sell the BCJ bottles and then donate all the proceeds to Cincy Reigns.
I'm liking this idea.
You're pretty
I
smart,
think
Chad.
our members would jump on having a limited edition bottle with the Bearcat Journal logo if the proceeds went to Cincy Reigns. I got to get with my people. That idea has been kicking around my brain, and I haven't had time to put it into action yet. So sometimes if I just speak things into existence here, then it's on my mind a little bit more to get shit done. Ryan?
There we go. I think I'm going to feed right into the basketball flirting, but it's gonna be bringing both things together. So, what do you think would be generating more hype if the Bearcats beating Arizona State propelled us to 7-0, as we all like to talk? Me and Brent mostly like to talk about the what if of what the amazing 7-0 start that we should be in. What would be generating more hype? The Bearcats beating the Sun Devils, go to 7-0, or that near 20-point victory in the scrimmage against the Buckeyes by the Bearcats?
It would be football. I mean, they would be 7-0. They would be ranked. Everybody would be talking about the turnaround. Scott Satterfield's got this thing kind of humming again, and they're going into, could you imagine the hype around this Colorado game if Cincinnati was 7-0?
All right, let's do 6-1.
Okay.
6-1 and probably.
They dropped the game at Texas Tech.
Yeah. They won the Pitt game. Stupid.
I don't know that would have changed a whole lot. I mean, they'd be ranked, I think, at this point. They'd be somewhere.
24th.
23, 22, something like that, after a win over Arizona State. But I think everybody is just chomping at the bit for this UC basketball team.
Oh, baby.
And then they come out and, they just smacked Ohio State.
Yeah, I think the answer would be the football team heading into this game against Colorado. But boy, oh boy, in the back of my mind, my juices are flowing, man. Juices are absolutely flowing. It was something. It was a thing to witness on Friday night, that's for sure. Aaron, what do you think?
I think after Brent's talking about juices flowing, I don't know if there's anything I can even add to that.
There we go. All right. Focus back on football here. All right. Player of the game. Who does it need to be against the Buffs? Can't be Sorsby. Can't be Kiner.
Okay. Wow. I like that.
For the Bearcats to win.
I'm going to go with, that's a tough one. It's got to be someone in the secondary, like coming up with a pick or, a big play on defense. How about Jordan Young coming up with his first, big pick of his first pick of the season, right? Or he doesn't have a pick yet, I don't think. I think it's been Minkins.
They have. I mean, nobody's really thrown at him much.
Yeah, right, exactly. But Shedeur does not give one F. So,
right.
I
and if he's on Travis Hunter, Shedeur is throwing the ball to Travis Hunter. Like,
right.
Period.
Right. Yeah.
Period.
Now, player of the game could be where, Colorado's driving with a chance to win the game in the final possession, and, Jordan Young has a big pass deflection, or Jordan Young comes up with a game-sealing interception. I think that immediately would give him player of the game, because he's not going to put up like 9 tackles and all this and that. So I'd say in order to pull out a win, I'd say Jordan Young.
I'm going to go way off the grid. Nathan Hawks has to be player of the game. If he is 3 for 3 kicking field goals and 4 for 4 making extra points, 3 for 3 making extra point. You said it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be a shootout as well. So if he's able to put 7 through the uprights, let's go. That's a huge
37 points for the Bearcats, 37-34 win. I like it, Aaron.
Just saying. I think that if they're going to win, though, they need to be able to rely on their kicker. He needs to have the confidence that he's going to make the kicks. And I think that if they're able to run him out there and have all the confidence in the world that he's already made 3, let's make it 4. Let's make it 5. Let's make it 6. I think that's going to be a huge difference maker. And the fact that you don't have to continue to push the ball on 3rd down, 4th down, trying to continue the drive, as opposed to being able to know that you can take the kick and get the points on the board.
I think the Cats have to hold them under 30 to win, though. So I don't know how far into the shootout. I don't think we can have another Texas Tech shootout.
You don't think Cincinnati can score 30 on Colorado?
I just think that if Colorado's scoring over 30 points, that our defense isn't playing the way that they need to play.
But you can still win a game where your defense doesn't play great.
I know.
The offense has had a couple down weeks. Like Colorado's playing better on defense, but they're not a monster by any stretch of the imagination.
Offenses do.
Yeah. You're too defensive minded, Ryan Royer.
I like us scoring 31 points, chewing some clock with the run game, keeping the ball out of their hands, and when they have the ball, keeping them out of the end zone. They can get their yards, make them kick field goals. Don't let up a big play. And I don't think they can get to 30 points if we do that.
Yeah, K-State won 31-28, so that'd be pretty similar to what they did.
We don't want like you say, big plays equal short drive equal more possession. So we want to have the ball by running it, having a good run game, Sorsby stepping in, making the throws, and on defense, we don't want them having 1.5-minute drives, 2.5-minute drives. We want them to have to drive the ball, make them have the ball for 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and see what they can do with it.
Oh, by the way, Aaron, speaking of this motherfucker right here, Ed Mayhall.
Okay.
Remember that story, Brent, that I told on the aftermath on Saturday that some classless clown in the Bearcat layer section was heckling me and gave me a thumbs down? It was Ed Mayhall's brother.
Who
Ed
has
Mayhall's
been
brother?
Yeah, his brother Greg has been an Arizona State fan now for probably a decade, if not longer. But yeah, that's hilarious that was Ed's brother. He yelled my name and waved at me. He gave you a thumbs down.
He told me I suck and gave me a thumbs down.
Oh, so funny.
Okay.
I just wanted to say hi to Ed.
Ed, you hear that? Any rebuttal out of Ed?
That's one way to do it.
Somebody ratted on him on Twitter today and said, yeah, it was Ed's brother that was heckling you from the stands.
Fair.
Yep.
But Royer, the answer to that question is Brendan Sorsby, in my eyes. I think if you have a better quarterback in the game, in a game like this, I think you're going to win. So,
and if you're Brendan Sorsby, this is a huge opportunity to be the better quarterback in a game going against Shadur Sanders, a guy that everybody considers,
a big stock game.
Yeah.
It is.
There's been a lot of there's been national buzz on Sorsby, but it's been kind of muted. It hasn't been really loud.
Recent weeks, he hasn't really torn the cover off the baseball, to be honest.
Yeah.
So.
But you wanna make it loud. Go out and outplay Shadur and beat Colorado in Boulder, and then there's gonna be a lot of people talking about Brendan Sorsby.
Agree. And also, Jared Bartlett has the chance to make a lot of money this weekend as well, if he puts consistent pressure on Shadur and has some splash plays. I think
let that truck at the goal line motivate him this week.
Yeah. Boom.
That's what I told you guys the story of my first time at Cincinnati putting the pads on in the goal line tackle drill. It looked a little bit like that against good.
Yeah. That was rough. He brought the boom. You got one more in you?
I do. What I know Brent was kind of teasing at the plans for how you handle this Saturday night kickoff time.
Ready?
What? You're not allowed to go to bed. What are you doing? The Bearcats pull off the dub. What time is it going to be? Like close to 2:00 in the at night. What are you doing to celebrate?
I'll be right here on this channel with Chad, and we'll be talking the aftermath.
Find if how late the nearest local establishment's open and go celebrate a bit.
There you go. Brent, do you remember that one I called you about? I think it was Saturday, like 12:30 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember?
I do actually. Yeah. I answered the call. You were like, "Where are you, man?" I was like, "Just finished checking out Blink. I'm down here celebrating the ASU win. All these ASU fans talking about how fun everything is here." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's awesome." And you were like, "Hey, if you were going to the Colorado game, like who would be the number one celebrity you would most like to see on the sidelines?" And I said, "Dude, save that for riffing with Royer." So do you want to ask us?
Yeah. You just if you were going to get the sideline pass to the Colorado game, who would be the number one celebrity you'd want to talk to?
What? See, I told you, great question. Ben, even better question now. Chad, Aaron,
see, Brent,
who guys take?
I'm so focused on the game and like looking deep into like the scheme and stuff. I just forget about shit like that.
I know, man. I know.
So what celebrity is not currently tied to an ongoing FBI investigation? Because that's who I would want to see. I don't want to see anybody who's in any way, shape, or form tied to any type of investigation.
They're all in Europe. They will not be at a 10:15 kickoff in Boulder. I'll tell you that much.
Hasn't The Rock been to a couple Colorado games? I think I'd want to meet The Rock.
Okay. It's a good pick.
And I don't think he's got anything to do with Diddy parties. So
okay. Fair.
I don't think.
Aaron,
I don't know for sure.
I don't know who does. I don't want to. Yeah. Anyway. It sucks because there's people who I would want to meet. Like I know Rick Ross has been hanging out. I don't know if he's been to any of those parties. Drake has been to. I'm pretty sure Drake is tied in some way, shape, or form.
But who would you want to see on the sideline? We don't have to go on a diatribe about this damn white parties. Just let's rock. Let's roll.
I don't know. As cool as The Rock would be, I don't know.
I'm going with Kamala Harris. She's making a late election push. She's showing up to Boulder. Brent's going to catch her for an interview after the game.
Yep, sideline reporter. Here with the BCJ. Can I get you on the podcast on Monday?
I hate both of you.
Called the BBG. My pick is maybe Margot Robbie. Tell her I love your movies. Or Ana de Armas. Just say, hey, what's up?
What are you just trying to pick the hottest girls you can think of?
Where's the coolest
maybe
spot?
Sydney Sweeney. Maybe Sydney Sweeney will be there.
Why not?
Where's the coolest part in Boulder? Like, let's check it out. Or maybe Wiz Khalifa or Snoop Dogg.
What about the Rizzler?
Too much going on. Ooh. Maybe the Rizzler. I think that's the character.
I'm just picturing Brent with a chicken bake in his hand.
Can you sign my chicken bake, Rizzler?
You get the boom. Yeah. That's a great riffing with Royer, guys. Let's get a quick timestamp on that one. Ryan, you knock it out of the park, man. You really do.
I hate both of you. This timestamp brought to you by Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They provide mostly disposable restaurant supplies, to-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins. They've been open since 2009 and are one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Hey, good job. But real quick, 80-62, the moment everyone's been waiting for. Bearcats take down Ohio State in the charity exhibition. And it's hard to contain my excitement for what I saw on Friday. Chad, myself, Keegan were there. Chad and Keegan had the Aftermath basketball style on Friday night. Go back and check that out for kind of a more in-depth look at things. I just want to say that there's small things. Yes, you love the 3-point shooting. Yes, you love the new additions showing different ways to affect the game. But for me, it's more so seeing the intensity on the defensive side of the ball, of the court, how much everyone was engaged on every possession. Sure, it's an exhibition. Sure, the game doesn't count at the end, but this team everyone was locked in. There was this one possession where everyone was clapping their hands in front of the opponent's face on defense.
Just don't slap the floor.
Yeah, no. You saw Dylan Mitchell go up and grab a defensive rebound, and he was as excited about grabbing that defensive rebound than he was after his alley-oop dunk. Like small things like that just kind of shows like, wow, this team's got a little different edge to them. They've got a little something to them. I'm gonna go out there, and I know it's only one exhibition, but we saw what we had in those players that were returning that are in the starting five. You added a player like Dylan Mitchell to it. That starting five it's pretty damn elite in my eyes. It is long. It is super athletic. You saw at the opening tip, just the overall size advantage on the side of the Bearcats was astonishing when it came to looking at a Big Ten team going up against them, getting ready to tip the ball. The size is it's impressive in that starting five, and the length is impressive. Seamoss has stepped up his defense. Jizzle has stepped up his defense. Dylan Mitchell allows you to switch everything aggressively on the outside defensively. You're happy about what you saw on offense, but I tell you what, this defense it's exciting. And I am thrilled to see what happens when the ball is tipped in 2 short weeks. Chad, a couple of days removed, and it's hard not to be excited about what took place on Friday. And sure, it doesn't count. Sure, West had the approach of, I wish we lost by 30 so that I can really hammer into the team more. But there's things that you saw that kind of just let you know, hey, I mean, this is probably a make or break it type season where the returnees are old upperclassmen. The additions all kind of fit in pretty seamlessly. It's seeming like a melting pot of a lot of positivity heading into a really, really big year.
I think the thing for me, I've been, on the phone quite a bit, talking some hoops with my people, my sources. We talked a lot over the past couple seasons about the puzzle not really being all the way complete yet.
Yep.
You're still maybe missing this, or you're missing a little bit of that, or you can sprinkle, if they had a little bit more of, if they had a little bit more outside shooting, or if they had a little bit more experience at point guard, or whatever the conversations we've had. Like you go back to the team with Dave and Landers. Like if those two guys had off nights, that team was dead in the water. If one of them had an off night, that team was dead in the water. There was such pressure on both of those guys to be great every night that it's hard to sustain.
Yeah.
I think we are in a much better place in terms of how do all these pieces fit together. Now, the problem with this team is you might have a couple extra pieces that go to a different puzzle. That puzzle might be next year's puzzle. And you got to still figure out how to keep some of those pieces happy. But when you're looking at like, top 9, top 10 guys on this roster, they all kind of complement each other really well. I do think that's the starting lineup that we're going to see a majority of the time, with Jizzle, Dan, Seamoss, Dylan, and Aziz. And then you have Day and Connor Hickman and CJ Frederick and Aziz Bandago and Josh Reed and Tyler Betsy and Rayvon Griffith. Like, there's just a lot of there's a lot to work with in terms of like being a complete puzzle. And instead of, maybe they only had a 6-piece puzzle and you had 2 really big pieces, but the other pieces didn't necessarily fit to complement or elevate, that team to the next level. This team has, I think they should have a lot of answers, and they should really, be able to do that really difficult thing that we always talk about, and that's being able to dance all the dances.
Yeah.
Being able to be a team that can defend and rebound, but also being a team that if, another team's really hot, like that, you're going to be able to score and keep up with them. They can play in transition. They should be good in the half court. Like, they can rebound on the offensive end, rebound on the defensive end. They didn't take care of the ball really well against Ohio State, but it's the middle of October. Like, you're not supposed to be.
And you've got a bunch of random lineups.
Yeah. So, as long as that's something that they can average 11, 12 turnovers a game, and you don't see those spikes where they turn it over, 20 times. The crazy thing was, though, and Brent, you can attest to this, it didn't feel like they turned it over 21 times because it didn't hurt them.
Right.
Like, it normally when you turn it over that much, it's like, oh God, here, like, okay, well, they turned it over a couple times, and all of a sudden that 15-point lead is down to 7. They were able to get stops. I think it was Aaron wasn't there. Keegan was there. I think it was 17. There's 21 turnovers. They only had 17 points off turnovers. So, like, I'm just excited about being able to watch a team that can go out and look different and win in different ways. And, some nights it's going to be shooting. Some nights it's going to be defense. Some nights they're going to dominate on the glass. Like, just all of that different stuff kind of put into the cauldron as you're brewing up ways to get wins in 24-25.
15 points off turnovers, by the way.
15, yeah. I think it said 17, so maybe they went back and corrected a bucket or something. I think it was 17 or whatever on Friday night. But
what it's at currently on the
stat.
Yeah. So for me as well is the fact that kind of going into like the puzzles fitting together. You know who your offensive scorers are. You don't have a plotting big that needs post touches to get his impact in the game. You don't have 2 bigs on the court at the same time that can't necessarily, defend the way that you need to defend to slow down teams that I mean, today's game and age, it's either you have a dominant big that can score in a variety of ways, or you need a rim runner who is athletic and can protect the rim and can finish lobs and can finish dunks. That's what Aziz is. I think, AP showed some flashes with his, you talked about this with Keegan, with he caught the ball at the top of the key and kind of made his move, got to a spot and nailed a nice little baby hook. I'd like to see him kind of pull back from attempting all these deep threes, but still, you see a little bit more juice, a little bit more athleticism, a little bit more ability to kind of defend and play off of other teammates better than what the backup bigs last season had. It's just, Natty Ron's asking, does UC look like a Big 12 team and not an AC? Absolutely, yes. You're going. Jizzle looks like a bigger 6'1" right now, and then you've got Dan at the 2 in that starting lineup. That's 6'5", 6'6". You've got Seamoss at the 3, 6'7", 6'8". You've got Mitchell at the 4, 6'9", 6'10". You got Aziz at the 5, 7'7". It just the whole entire mix of that starting 5 is amazing. Then in the second group, you have one of the best perimeter defenders, ball on ball, in Day Thomas, who for all of his turnovers that he had, I thought he showed some things offensively that kind of will be like, wow. I imagine a team's second unit having to focus on trying to stop Day. Hickman's shot's going to come. It's going to fall. He didn't even need it to fall. It just the excitement, the ability to, as you said, kind of mold together what they have is there. Tyler Betsy is a freshman that is not afraid, a freshman who has true length and it can knock down some deep shots. So I was pretty just blown away by all the pieces and the fact that even Josh Reed, when he came in, he knocked down 2 threes and looked pretty good doing it. Looks like he's put on some athleticism, some strength to his game as well. It's just, I don't know. It's very difficult to leave the gym on Friday and not see that all the hype is not valid. It's validated. I mean, 17th in Ken Palm coming into the season. You're talking about a lot of praise around the country as some dark horses to contend in the Big 12 to make the tournament and advance. And I think everything that you saw there was all pretty valid from what he's doing. Natty Ron's asking you, Chad, how Griffin looked. Natty Ron, I'll answer.
Good.
Griffin looked great. Yeah, he knocked down his first 3. It was a swish, and he was aggressive defensively yet again. Had a dunk that kind of got everyone off their feet, and just the whole mix of everything. Just you saw a team that was together, a team that truly seems like they're playing for each other, and excitement and the thrill of winning basketball games, for lack of digging to find more terms. But the defensive side of the court is where I was the most juiced up about the team, is because they were just locked in for an exhibition game. Imagine a Big 12 game in front of a huge sold out crowd at Fifth Third Arena. How locked in that defense is going to be. It's super exciting. So, I mean, you can look at the scoring, and I think Dan had some really good takes. He seemed aggressive. It seems like he trusts his shot after that one air ball that he threw up on that first look. Dylan Mitchell, he's not all dunking. He had that one good turnaround, little fadeaway too, that he knocked down pretty seamlessly. I thought that looked pretty good from his repertoire.
The block transition though to the alley-oop was,
oh my God,
phenomenal.
I watched that video more than I probably should. So shouts to Austin from, I don't know what news channel he's at, Chad, but that right there was the play of the game, and
the local 12.
Probably the dunk of the year almost. So
work of art.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, like, Dylan Mitchell is a guy as well that you can just tell he is so unselfish, and he is so happy to do the small things. And when you have a player of his high athleticism, his high ability, that also has that point of view on things, it just fits into a rotation that's already so well put together that, I mean, it's awesome. I'm really excited, and I this past Friday only helped amp up that excitement. And Chad, when's the next super secret scrimmage? I know they were saying this weekend, but
it's this week. It's sometime Thursday to Saturday. I gotta figure out exactly when it is, but it's coming up this week.
I'm excited. But yeah, I mean, obviously, it'll be fun to see, because players like CJ, who only played 4 minutes, and Wes mentioned that he didn't need to play more because he knows what he has in CJ when the lights turn on. It just, I don't know. The turnovers were one thing, sure, but coming out of it, it's hard not to see where everyone's kind of excited to see where this team can go. So I'm
excited. They should be it should be a lot of fun to watch. And we had a question. Is this the best puzzle fits together since Kenyon's senior year? I don't know, man. I still, that 2017 team, like, that puzzle fit pretty damn well together when you had Jake and Jaron and Gary and Kyle and Justin and Kane. And maybe you would have liked a little bit, those guys were young on the bench at that point in time. Keith Williams and like that group. Maybe you would have liked a little bit more pop off the bench, but that puzzle fit pretty damn well together. If the game we don't talk about didn't happen, you're looking at an Elite Eight or a Final Four that, we're talking about that group forever and ever. So
maybe final game, the way that things really crapped out, but yeah. Chad, I think the positional versatility is something that can't be discounted either. Like you mentioned how like CMOS can bump down to the 4. Wes mentioned he threw out some small ball lineups and he wanted to do it even more because he thinks that they have the ability to do that, which is like, this team definitely does. Like a 5-out approach on certain times. I think that you can see that on offense, and just the spacing is just crazy. And the thing about the made threes, if you take out the one that Betsy made with a defender right in his face.
Hand down, man down.
Yeah, exactly. But every single other one was it was wide open.
Off a ball movement.
It was all good looks. I think Jizzle had one where he kind of just created space for himself, which that's what he does. So, but outside of that, every single one was just catch, open shot. And I'm just excited. I'm excited. It's going to be interesting to see how teams are able to combat against the amount of experience, the amount of returning players, the amount of, influx of high talent into all of these returners as well. But as Wes said, that will help them in the beginning of the season. When that second and third month comes, everyone else will be probably caught up by then, and that's when Big 12 play starts. So you have to continue to progress, but they are definitely going to be a step ahead of a lot of other teams early in the process.
Hopefully you'll hear some information about the super secret scrimmage sometime Saturday afternoonish.
Hopefully, yes.
Evening, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Wow. Quite the little appetizer treat before the 10-15 kickoff over at Colorado.
Not as if there isn't enough going on Saturday or anything.
It's a busy day. It's a busy day.
That's what the weekends are for, baby. That's what the weekends are for. Aaron, Ryan, I know you weren't there, but anything that you just gathered from podcasts or highlights or anything, Aaron, you mentioned that big block transition into dunk. That has to be one of the best dunks of the season that didn't even take place in the season, I think. Right?
No, we wouldn't if they don't open up this exhibition. It's essentially just another super secret scrimmage. So no, I'm not counting that as a dunk of the year candidate. Even it's what happened in an exhibition game. It's not in the regular season.
Oh, it was good. It was so nice.
That said, I think there will be plenty of opportunity this season from what we've seen out of Dylan Mitchell. But no, I was happy to see the 3-point shooting as well. Just we got to see a glimpse of what can be, and it's not as if Ohio State is a slouch. They're coming off a down year, obviously, but it's still Ohio State. I will not forgive them for coming into Fifth Third in their grand reopening and beating Cincinnati. So take them to the woodshed when you can.
I mean, if the defense had just played a little better in that game, Cincinnati would have won.
Yep, that's right. That's right. The second half,
50 to 49.
Wasn't there. Whatever. But yeah, another one. I wish Dan would have thrown it off the backboard on that one alley fast break that Mitchell was kind of trailing him. Oh, that would have been juicy. But then you did get an AP oop where he dunked on the guy and no one's talking about it because well, first off, it was an exhibition. Second off, it was just
we didn't get to see the video either. Where was that on Twitter?
Other stuff. Yeah, it was just flooded with so many other good things. So excitement abounds, baby. That
Kelsey had a great picture of Aziz dunking.
Yeah. Aziz again. It just he finally did. Aaron, there were a couple oops that were awry. I will say that. But then when they finally got
shitty lobs, you mean?
Yeah, shitty lobs. But they finally pulled it together and they had a couple great finishes. So I'll give them that. Anything more on the super secret charity exhibition game against Ohio State?
I don't think so. I'm looking for something here real quick.
30 Walrus. Wes was taking any angle he could to seem like he was angry at the team. I mean, they out rebounded Ohio State by 17. They did all these good things, but Wes was. You could tell, Chad. Couldn't you tell in the postgame presser? Wes was a little quietly excited. He had that smile. He was relaxed. He was
excited or proud. There's
probably proud. Yeah.
I mean, look. If we're and this is not. This is just the reality of the situation. They should have been significantly ahead of Ohio State. Like returning as many guys as they returned, Ohio State playing essentially with a brand new roster. Like, Thornton was really the only holdover from that roster for them. They should have been ahead of Ohio State. And if they weren't, then that probably would have been a reason, a legitimate reason for concern if they came out and struggled and were in a 61-58 type game, just based on that's where they should be.
Right.
They should be farther along than Ohio State, and they were. So that is something that is tangible. We should be here, and then you go out and you have an exhibition game, and you are. That means that you're on track for where you want to be. In 2 weeks or 2 weeks when 15 days, I think it was today.
Yeah.
When the season rolls around.
Game's on Monday. Yeah. Monday the 4th.
So 14 days.
Yep.
I'm trying to get this picture, but it's taken a long time to upload.
You're good.
I'll have it for you in a few minutes.
You're good. It's so Gary Parrish on CBS Sports, he's got his top 25 and 1. He's got Ohio State in there. So I mean, yes, it's a lot of people said Ohio State doesn't look good and Bradshaw was out for them, but it's not like they're playing, what
Bradshaw averaged 4 points a game at Kentucky last year.
Exactly.
Is he a good player? Yes, but he wasn't coming in and putting 25 points up and changing the entire complexion of the game. That's not who Aaron Bradshaw is as a player.
Exactly. And Stewart showed some flashes, but I tell you what, Dylan Mitchell, he seems like the real absolute deal, glue guy extreme. So
I'd say this, not having any level of disrespect to John Newman, who was awesome.
Yeah.
Last year for the Bearcats.
Right.
He is 5-star John Newman.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And
he gives you a lot of the things that John Newman gave you. And, while he might not be as good a on-ball perimeter defender, he makes up for it in, his ability to score and his length and his bounce. There's a lot of tangible things. He is what 5-star John Newman would look like.
Amen. I agree. And he's unselfish. You can tell he just gets excited for his team as well. So there's a lot of things to like. But we're minute 50 and we got to get this mailbag rolling. Awesome win. Ohio State took them down 80-62. Hey, this is a good team. It's a really, really good team. So Fifth Third is going to be rocking all year. I truly believe that. So more to come as we head. You know what? It's kind of perfect because we've got the bye week next weekend, kind of leading into that first game. So maybe we do like a Sunday night BBP and kind of do like a season preview before game one, because of obviously there's that game Monday night. So we'll see. Either way. But without further ado, quick timestamp, we mailbag it up.
Quick Paper, local family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products, a wide range of food service products, to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
All right. So we open up the mailbag, same way we always do in the football portion of the mailbag. And first and foremost, on December 31st, how many regular season wins will the Gridiron Cats and Hoops Cats have on a combined basis from this point forward? There are 11 non-con Hoops games and 5 regular season football games remaining. Is there any chance that number is 16? Please give your number.
Ooh.
I don't think there's any chance it's 16. I'll
Zero
go.
Not a bad question though. Good job on this one.
In less words, Killer B. Like you understood the assignment. I want to say 13, but I'll go 12.
I'm going 13. I think I'm probably way too high on this basketball team, but I can truly see them winning every non-conference game. They're just, at Villanova, there's too much going on. At Georgia Tech, I think they're good, but I don't think they're that good.
Nice.
The home game against Xavier, and then of course Dayton just got trounced by Xavier, but that's going to be a completely different. Oh wow, look at that! But
how about Kels? I mean, that's a front page worthy shot right there.
And he finished it too. That's when he finished. But yeah, I'll say 13.
Just 13, huh? You only have the football team winning 2 of the 5?
Well, no, 14, sure. Well, are we counting a bowl game too, or is that going to be
There's regular season games?
Okay, regular season games. 13.
I'm with everybody else. I'm at 12.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Will UC football have more wins than UC basketball has losses for each team's current season?
Ooh.
Oh no, basketball will have more losses. Right?
I think basketball goes over. How many
7
losses do you
losses?
think basketball ends up with?
I mean,
Football-
probably
Yeah, I
10.
What football's at 8?
Probably 10 losses, 10 or 9 or 10 losses. I don't think the football team reaches 9 wins.
If they finish the regular season with 8 and get a bowl game, there's your 9.
Yeah, good point. Good point. They'd
I'll go
be
football.
playing close to the Big 12 championship if that was the case.
Chad, I just want to see if I can talk Brent into ridiculousness.
You're going football?
I hear you.
Wow.
I'm going basketball.
Chad said football. That means Chad's thinking only 6 losses for the for the basketball team. Oh,
No, I'm just kidding.
I see you drinking that Kool-Aid, baby. Hey, it tastes good right now. I tell you that.
Look, if they were still in the American, I'm going football for sure. But they
if
wouldn't
they're
have
still
this
in the
roster if they were
American,
still
I'm
in the
thinking a
American.
1 seed.
That's not Kool-Aid. That's new riff. All right. Is Corey Kiner actually Mike Warren reincarnated? Please discuss the similarities and differences. Fast fact, Kiner is 16th all-time on Bearcats' leading rusher list. Warren is 6th Barring injury, Corey should pass Mike Boone by year's end for 9th all-time.
Royer,
I think Mike was even more of a bowling ball. Like I think, Kiner is really good at bouncing off tackles and keeping his legs churning and keeping plays alive. It just felt like nobody ever got a clean shot on Mike Warren. They were just glancing blows. His center of gravity was so low, and he was just like a little stick of dynamite at contact. I think Mike's not far behind, or I think Corey's not far behind, but Mike was so hard to bring down.
Yeah, Corey's a little bit more dynamic, though. I think he's a little quicker
I agree.
off his cuts. I think
agree.
they're both exceptional, tackle breakers. I don't know if I can give either one of them an edge. It just feels like Corey is a little bit more dynamic / athletic with his tackle breaking, but it's not like he's breaking more tackles than Mike.
I'll give you an edge that Mike Warren has over Corey Kiner, and that's his ability to stay healthy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because if Corey was able to stay on the field as much as Mike was on the field, I think that you're probably talking higher on the list than 9th.
That's fair. And, I guess that doesn't really change anything.
Best ability is availability.
Yeah.
Do want to say, though, hat tip to Corey Kiner. He crossed over 2,000 yards as a Bearcat this past Saturday. So, big feat for the hometown.
And he
king.
should be. I think he's on track to get to 1,000 again, isn't he?
Yeah. The injury game kind of hurt him, Texas Tech, but I think he's definitely on track.
The fact that we're having a conversation comparing him to Mike Warren and discussing that they are close, as close as we're having the conversation, is a gigantic hat tip to the body of work that Corey Kiner has given Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. What surprised you most about this football season? Could be some players, coaching, or just the overall record.
Consistency. They don't seem to be riding a roller coaster of good and bad. The floor has been pretty high. I don't think they've hit the ceiling much, but the floor has been a lot different than last year, where sometimes it felt like the floor just vanished and there was not a floor. So I think consistency, and then again, I go back to them bouncing back after Pitt. And, we talked about it after that Pitt game. This team will be defined by, are they able to eat that loss and then get back out there and start stocking up, piling up some wins? And they've done that.
I think what I'm going to say is pretty related. I want to say coachability kind of is the guys seem to be taking coaching, not making a lot of the same mistakes twice, and just constantly improving it. They're not making any crazy jumps, but they're just consistently staying on track and getting better. And I think that's kind of across the board, offense, defense. I think it also helps that Swordsby has also been, kind of game changer for us too. Kind of keeping that growth on the offense moving forward.
There's one more I pulled from the kids' camera roll. Pretty good too.
He's a beast.
Gotta love me some Rayvon. Mine for this is, think back, guys. It was not that long ago. The home loss against Pitt, the vibes around everything were so sour. And the resiliency that we heard all offseason about this football team really, really shone through those next weeks following. So that's for me, because everything could have imploded after Pitt, and it did not. So that's where I'm at on that one.
I think that the thing that surprised me the most is how quickly the defense has turned it around and had exponential growth week over week. It feels like It just has seemed like they've really. I can't say how much I love the timing of the bye week this season, and how the team's been able to kind of turn things around defensively. Not even turn things around, but just stack on top of what they were already doing and start to really understand and be in the right places and communicate and do all the things that they've been doing defensively.
And you get another bye week coming after Colorado.
Yep. Probably going to need it.
Another chance to kind of reset and get ready for a really difficult 4-game stretch run. An important 4-game stretch run. 2 home, 2 away, 2 winnable at home, 2 away games that you're not going to be favored, but got a chance to go do something big.
Steal one. All right. College Football Report just released today their midseason mock draft. The Godfather at 28, Luke Kandra at 19, Travis Hunter at 4, Shadur at 8. When was the last time the Bearcats played in a game with 4 projected first-round picks? A, the 2021 bowl game versus Georgia. B, the 2022 Alabama college football playoff game. C, never. Bonus question: if Brendan Sorsby declared for the 25 draft, would he be the 3rd Bearcat projected for round 1?
Probably. He's got a way to go before he's even.
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Killer V, I know you get out over your ski. Like, you live over your skis, and we love you for it. Let's not get too carried away. Like, Brendan is playing well, but let's not get stupid. But it would have to be the Bama game.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because Ritter was on a lot of projections for first round. Sauce, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say the Bama game, and then whoever they had, Bryce Young and Jameson Williams. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm sure they had probably.
I did see one
defensive player here or there.
Who was the linebacker?
They went to Philly.
Oh, Will Anderson.
Yeah.
Well,
projected like a lot of places had him projected as the number 1 pick.
Right, but he just couldn't go out of the draft that after that season. He had to have one more year.
But he was projected a first round pick.
Yeah. There was in the one mock draft, I forget what it was. It was like the crazy mock draft. I think it was what it's called. They had this punt block specialist on there named Brian Royer, projected first round pick.
Doesn't Sorsby have to play college one more year? No. He redshirted a year, then he played a year at Indiana. This is his 3rd year in college. So technically he could declare after this season. Do I think he will? No.
How many points will UC need to score against the Buffaloes high wire act to win?
30.
Lawyer says 31.
31.
I'm kind of with Aaron here. 38.
I like that number.
So let's take a look at the reality here, guys. I think this might surprise you. North Dakota State, they scored 31. Nebraska, they scored 10. Colorado State, they scored 28. Baylor, they scored 38. Colorado against UCF, they scored 48. 28 against Kansas State, 34 against Arizona. This is not a team that's putting up video game. Don't get me wrong. They're consistently right around 30, which I think is Royer's thought process. You're going to have to hold them a little bit under their peak in order to get them. But they're not going out and scoring 45 to 50 a game. They've really only done that once, and that was against a UCF team that was just playing terrible football. They are playing much better now, but I don't think you have to score 40 plus to beat them.
I wonder how many possessions it's going to come down to. Like how many possessions each team's going to have.
They throw the ball a lot, so probably.
I know.
As long as you can get off the field, you should have a pretty good number of, I definitely don't think you're going to see a half where Cincinnati touches the ball 3 times like they did in the second half against Arizona State.
No. Killer B loves it.
Hypothetical banana land.
Oh, that's funny.
I'll go 35 to answer the question. 5 touchdowns. Score 5 touchdowns and win.
We will see. Give me 7 Nathan Hawks kicks. What's behind our offensive lulls the last couple games? Good scouting / adjustments by the other team, or is it something you see could be doing better?
Ryan?
I think if he's speaking just specifically on this game, I think there seemed to be like a scheme in that second half, drain clock. You only get the ball 3 times. I mean, I don't think the offense was, trying to really put everything out there. I think they're trying to stick to their run game, and I think they had a decent half. It was just 2 errors on the line killed 2 drives, but other than that, they drive the ball all the way down to essentially the goal line, and were a couple inches away from scoring another touchdown. But I think they're fine. I think it's a lot of situational football, and from the naked eye, you're just looking at one half 24 points, other half 0. But if you really kind of dive into it and look at their scheme and you look at their players and how they're performing, I don't think there's been a drop off. But I do think that they're going to need to score second half points this week. I don't think you're going to be in a situation you're up 3 scores at halftime and you're looking to run the clock out. I would love that. That would be great. But I think they're going to have to play 4 quarters on offense if they're wanting to get the win this week. And I think
what would make you feel good about that, Royer, is Texas Tech. Like, they went out there in the second half and they stormed back. Like, they got down 2 touchdowns and kept rolling.
One-dimensional too, which they had to get away from, like, their whole identity, and they were able to adapt and overcome. And they played perfectly well enough to win that game. Offensive side of the ball, like we said, if the defense just played bad and not terrible, they win that game.
One of the things that
they're not in like this isn't a spiral. This isn't like a panic thing or anything. I think offense is fine. I think they're have a good week this week.
One of the things Chad and I were talking about after the aftermath, or on the aftermath, was the fact that this offense plays to what the defense gives them, as opposed to exerting their will and doing what they want. Is that something you'd agree with, Ryan, or am I seeing things differently?
Say that again. I couldn't hear you.
One of the things that we talked about was this offense kind of taking what the defense gives them as opposed to exerting their will or doing what they want. Is that something that I'm seeing differently, or would you agree with that? You hit mute, Ryan.
You're on mute.
Sorry. I think it was I think a lot of it sometimes is situational. And I think, sometimes they try to get ahead of themselves with a trick play that could kill a drive. And I think sometimes it's, miscues on the O-line that lead to sacks. That's happened in a couple games that are real drive killers. But I think we kind of have our identity, and I think we stick to it. And I think we have a dynamic ability on offense to kind of play to whatever the game is needing us to, like you saw versus Texas Tech. Mm-hmm. We don't have our running backs. We're able to rely on our quarterback and on our good receivers and our good scheme and route running and kind of, let it hang on the passing side of things. But we still have that run game that we can our expectation is to kind of dictate that side of the ball. And I think I wouldn't really say that like we're being forced into anything. I think anytime we kind of take our foot off the gas is kind of based on the situational football.
All right. That ends the football portion of the mailbag. Moving on to the basketball portion of the mailbag. Day is to Jizzle as Pryor is to Kiner. Please discuss and agree or disagree. I disagree. I think that Jizzle and Day Day both play far larger roles than what we've seen yet on Pryor, and that's with me still saying how key of an element that I think Pryor has been to this season, as he has scored in massive key moments.
I think I agree with you, but I think like if you look at it from like who's the main character, like Jizzle is the main character, Kiner is the main character, and then I think Pryor kind of has that dynamic kind of switch up, but I almost feel like Jizzle is the dynamic. So it's not really a switch up. It's kind of Jizzle does both.
Maybe a bit of the thunder and lightning. I feel like Jizzle's a little bit more of like an aggressive physical guard that has, like you said, the burst as well. And then Day Day's got burst and, kind of that next level quickness as well. So kind of a little bit in that sense, but like you said, Ryan, Jizzle's got both. So.
All right. Can we actually shoot this year? Felt like everyone was making them.
Yeah.
If they continue taking wide open rhythm shots, yes. Move the ball, take good shots.
We got a shot doctor this year. We better be able to shoot. I'm just saying.
10 made threes, and neither were made by two of the probably top three-point shooters that we expected coming into the season, and Hickman and CJ. So take that for what it's worth. I think they
I know I make the joke about the shot doctor, but hearing them talk about how the conversations go after practice and whatnot, like, and what they work on with the shot doctor after all said and done.
You can just call him Coach Buckley.
Well, I had forgotten his name already because I always refer to him as the shot doctor. I even asked Brent, "Is that him, the shot doctor?" when we were on the sidelines the other day.
That's right.
So just saying, he's like Madonna. He's just shot doctor. I don't know. I'm excited with what he's brought to the table already, and I think we'll see a lot of improvement because of him. If you had to run out a group of 5 guys from this team with the sole intent of putting the best defensive group out there, who you got?
I mean, it has to include Day Day, Dylan Mitchell, and Aziz for sure.
Yep. I like Dan's length. I'll have Dan out there as well. And honestly, Jizzle was showing me some things, man.
Yeah.
So I think I'd go Jizzle.
Day Day, Jizzle, Dan, Dylan, and Aziz. I don't hate that. I don't hate that.
Riding with that as well.
I'm going to agree with the guys who have seen them play in person. All right. How did Page look Friday night? Can the team survive a game where he has to play substantial minutes if Aziz gets in early foul trouble or injured like last year? If Page isn't ready for that role yet, what lineup combos do you see Wes rolling out if Aziz has to sit?
Page is going to play. There is no what if Page isn't ready for that role yet, boys and girls.
He is going to play. Break glass in case of emergency is him.
It's him. It's him. He was good. I didn't really have any complaints with him. The beauty of this is you're going to be at, it's not a situation where you already don't have enough firepower, and then you're just exacerbating it with not having somebody that can score at center. This team should have more than enough firepower that they don't need the 5 to be like a heavy production, point guy. I said that terribly. But you don't need a lot of buckets out of the 5 spot with this group. And that's not going to change whether it's Aziz or it's Page. If it's not Page, I guess the next logical explanation or next logical choice would be Dylan Mitchell. Behind that, Josh Reed. I think Josh could physically probably guard the 5. You wouldn't want him against like a 6'11", 260 pounder, but there's just not a lot of those in this league. Like in the Big 12, most teams are playing a Josh Reed type at the 5 anymore. So Josh or how about this? You want to find a way to get the redshirt freshman some minutes? How about Ray at the 5, death lineup.
Jesus. No, that's wild. But yeah. I think it's Mitchell, but like extensively. But I think Aziz is going to log a bunch of minutes, like a bunch, and Page will just be there when he's needed. Whether foul trouble or injury. But I definitely think Aziz might lead the team minutes played this year, which is just it's a nod to his stamina. You don't think so?
No.
I just think there's so many options. Maybe I could see CMOS or Dan.
Look, those first 5, there's going to be a rotation, and those first 5 are going to play a lot of minutes.
Play a bunch. Yeah, I agree.
That's the basketball portion of the mailbag. Moving on to the banks. One question only. You are invited to a beer fest type competition. Bar Olympics if you don't know the movie. You may pick one Kelsey brother. Your competition gets the other brother. Who do you pick?
Oh, come on.
Jason.
Yeah. Jason.
Not even close.
Layup.
That's a layup. Yeah.
I think you will always want to win the coin toss and get Jason.
I'll
stick
take
whoever.
I'll take Jason and I versus you 3 and Travis. That's how confident I would be in Jason.
I would be very confident in you, actually. You might actually be a better matchup with whoever Jason is with somebody, and then you would be a better match.
Royer and I versus Jason and you two. I kind of like Royer and I's chances there.
I haven't been drinking much lately. I can still
throw him back.
Yeah, I mean, let's not act like I'm a rookie to the game here.
I believe you.
Come what may, I wouldn't know my name by the end of it.
Aaron would be on game 3, and
Aaron would be crying.
He'd be
hugging people.
Give you a hug.
Him he loved them.
Cry on your shoulder for a second.
For sure.
It's like Aaron, we gotta play Beer Die real quick.
Early
DQ. I died for you, brother.
I don't know how to get the 3-year-old to stop whipping the newborn's ass. It's just
early DQ.
What are you saying? We got to play Flip Cup? I'm just flipping happy to be here with you, brother.
I'm getting made fun of by Travis because Taylor Swift could drink me under the table.
Yeah. Fair. It's a good point. I agree.
I don't know what this world's come to that me, you, and Dave really aren't drinking anymore.
I know that they're doing that weird stuff over with like CERN and using the anyway.
Collider.
Yeah.
All right.
Opening new portals.
You knew, Ryan. You knew.
The lower dimensions.
Brent, get us out of here.
This is awesome. You come into BBP to talk about Bearcat football. You end talking about CERN and whatever. It's basketball as well. Fun for everyone. As we look forward to this Saturday, I think it's safe to say it's a massive game. Massive football game, basketball around the corner. We're going to be talking about that Colorado game all throughout the week. It's going to be excitement abounding. Prime time as the Bearcats head to town. Make sure you figure out a game plan. 10:15 kickoff. It's going to be a thriller. So, anything else, guys? Let's get out of here, yeah? Without further ado, my guys, my pals, the crews. Thanks. Shout outs to Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Shout outs to Quick Paper Supply. Shout outs to New Riff. They supply my greatest segment of the world. New Riff with Royer, my buddy Ryan Royer. What a great guy. But for Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, and Ryan Royer, I am Brent Young. Yet again, another fantastic BBP presented by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.